Good morning, professional photographers of Idaho. I am Bob Ryder.
And I'm Larry Fry. Good morning, everyone.
And it is Friday, like you just said, Friday, January 8th.
Yep.
And we've got a cool episode today. We've been talking a lot about this offline and off camera about what this means to us. And I've got a lot of anecdotal evidence that brought us to this topic today. And I'm getting text messages from one of my photography buddies. It has nothing to do with what we're doing here, but that's all right. Well, good morning, man.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I've been working really hard at this week.
Yeah.
You saw this morning that I sent out what I sent out this week's, next week's, and the following week's episode promo slides that we'll be able to put out to the world, and you're going to see some of that towards the end of the show.
We have some great topics.
We've got some great topics.
And we even dipped into February a little bit.
Yeah, I've got February's topic on tap, and that's going to be a little bit more on the humorous side. We're going to talk to you about some things that we are near and dear with, maybe a little bit more tongue-in-cheek than some of these other episodes.
And we're going to lighten it up.
Yeah, we're going to lighten it up.
Yeah.
In February. All of January, we're just going to hammer it.
Yeah, So then it's going to be a rest.
Yeah. So our conversation today is one I don't think we really have any. Let's go back. Let me just go back here. Announcements-wise, Imaging USA coming up next week.
Yeah, and so if you're on the members' Facebook page, Jen Alvey sent out a poll, and they're having some watch parties around the state.
We're hoping to put some watch parties together, and what we'd like to know is, what are you interested in attending?
Yeah, and when. So, yeah.
And I noticed some of those watch parties conflict with when I'm in my CPP.
So there'll be a
pre-con class,
and I have a two classes, and so there'll be some disparity there where you can't. I mean, it's conference. It's conference, right? You can't.
Yeah, you can't
do
catch all of it.
Yeah, exactly. The good news is, if you bought the watch it later thing, you can do that too. So hopefully everybody out there saw that on the PPA website or the imaging website.
I think you can do imagingusa.com. Is that accurate?
Yep.
And get information about this directly. The whole conference is $59 to have access to.
It's
online.
a steal this year.
It really is. It's a great value. What it is. Kind of like the value in these, because these are so expensive.
Yeah, these are free. We're cheap.
Cheap and easy. I've always said that. Oh, don't tell my wife I said that.
I'm going to tell her.
She already knows.
She already knows, yeah.
After 25 years, right? All right, so let's come up on our topic today.
Right.
And I would like to invite some of the folks that are out watching to make a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. Give us a greeting. Hey, hello, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever. Just say something to us on the comments there. And let's jump right over to this topic slide today. We are backups, spares, and panic. And there's a catalyst for this topic that brought me to it, something that occurred right at the end of December. I was talking to a couple of buddies of mine. Actually, one was a photographer friend of mine was photographing at church, the Christmas services, of which we had like 30 of, and his camera bricked. Boom, stopped working.
Yep.
And
panic.
Well, he was just perplexed to start with.
Yeah.
And he shifted gears, and
I think that perplexion is the, it's something that's always worked for you. This thing, no worries. I got this. It's always worked, and all of a sudden, it just quits.
Well, and it was like, so he. So we talked about it later after the fact. He goes, I pressed the shutter button and it went squeal, and then nothing. And so he dropped the battery out. Of course, you do those quick things. You're like, camera off, lens on, memory card bay open, memory card out, memory card in, battery out, battery in, repower the camera, brick.
Yeah.
Crap, right?
Yeah.
And then, so then power off, battery out, fresh battery, camera on, and he was back in business. Okay, what happened there, right? So he was fortunate that he had spare stuff with him. He had his whole camera bag with him, and got it running again. And then about a week later, Gordon was on a job, and he texted the two of us. He's like, camera just quit.
Yep.
Jump into my backup. Okay, he was on a Santa shoot. You know how many Santa pictures he did that first day he was on that shoot?
Quite a few.
800.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on a shoot where you're photographing 800 kiddos with Santa, and your camera goes,
Yeah.
right?
Not a good feeling.
Not a great feeling. And fortunately for him, he was able to just transition. He's like, you know, so you just take that down second, you take that down time. All right, hold the line for just a minute. Boom. Camera off the tripod. There's no time to troubleshoot that.
Right.
New camera on, swap the lens on, fire it up. You're off and running. You're back in business. And all of that might take you between that initial moment of what just happened to a bit of that perplexion where you're like,
Yeah.
to I have to engage, do the thing, maybe 3 minutes?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I need to take 5, and then you swap it out and you run it right back into the gizmo, right?
And I think it's important that you just said it. You know, I need to take 5, and it's important to tell people. You know, you're not like panicking to the effect that I don't know what to do. Hang on, I got to call my buddy. You're just saying, you know what, these things happen in a hopefully cool and calm manner, even though your mind's like going 1,000 miles an hour, and just say, I need a couple of seconds. I need to grab my other body here, and we'll just get right back going. And
Gordon says, not warm and fuzzy.
No, it's not warm and fuzzy. That's
absolutely the truth. Not warm and fuzzy, right?
Yep.
It really is that. It's kind of an oh crap moment.
Yeah.
And depending on how well you're equipped, how well you've planned, how well you've prepared, and we're going to talk a lot about this over the next half hour, is how deep that oh crap moment goes.
Yep.
But he got it back up and running, finished the day, and then had time later to troubleshoot it, and his turned out to be a battery issue as well.
Yeah.
And then literally the next day from there, I've got a camera for sale. I have a Canon 5D Mark III for sale on the marketplace. I got a text from a gal in Washington, and she's like, I'd like to buy your camera. Will you meet me halfway to Spokane? She goes, I need it today or tomorrow because I have a shoot on Wednesday. My camera just crapped. And I'm like, sure. So we're kind of negotiating this. And a little while later, I texted her. I'm like, hey, what model camera do you have? Nikon. Craig's camera was a Nikon. Gordon's camera was a Nikon. And this gal's camera is a Nikon. I said, you know what, lady? As much as I'd like to sell you my camera, I want you to see if you can round up another battery for that dude and give that a try. And she drove to camera stores. They didn't have a battery. She put it out on her local photographer network. Didn't have a battery. She wound up finding a battery, but she really had to dig for it, and that solved her problem. And I got a very long, very emotional thank you from her for not selling her my camera and for actually fixing her camera just by sharing what I knew about the backup. But guess what? She didn't have
a backup.
She didn't have a plan. She didn't have a backup. She didn't have spare batteries. And this isn't about gear.
No.
No,
this is about Murphy's Law.
Yeah, yes, it is about Murphy's Law. It's absolutely about Murphy's Law.
So you just have to plan. If anything can go wrong, it will.
Can I drop a point on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I have something for you today.
Oh my God.
Let's go back to this other camera.
Let's. We got to review this.
So last week, we had an episode here on set. Do you want to tell them about that?
I wouldn't call it an episode.
I would.
It's okay. We spilled a little coffee in the studio. Actually, a full cup thing and a big cup.
It was like sloshing on our feet.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought maybe if you had a need today.
What did I do though?
Well, today you came back.
No, but I mean last week.
Well, yeah, you dove off set and grabbed the paper towels.
No, well, and then I came back with my
carpet cleaner
and cleaned it.
I got my carpets cleaned for free. All I had to do is spill his coffee.
So if you see Bob throwing his coffee on the floor, I'm not doing it.
Anyway,
but very nice.
That was my thought for the day.
So that's brilliant. We'll set that right there. I
You
have
came
my
better prepared
yeah.
today. We- anyway,
So we're talking about Murphy's
so
law.
talking
was
about
that-
Murphy's Law, if it can spill, it will.
Oh boy.
Really, if something can go wrong, it likely will. And it could be something minor.
Yeah. Well, a battery's not minor, but who would think that if you, in the first example, guy had a spare battery,
Right.
went and got it,
Bam.
didn't work.
Right.
So now what do you do? And we've covered this topic before about especially year-end preparation and what to do for next year. And I believe batteries came up. It's a cheap insurance policy. You probably should buy, well, depending on how many batteries you should probably buy 2 a year.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't know. I have used in the past aftermarket batteries,
Oh, me too.
third-party batteries, but they are prone to
Failure.
They are prone to failure. They are prone to flakiness.
Yeah.
So I have decided now that I'm only buying the name brand batteries, and I'm only buying those batteries from a vendor that I trust is selling me authentic Canon batteries.
Yeah, we could go into
Well,
scams and branding. We're not going to do that because that's another rabbit hole.
gray
but,
market. And
Yeah, but I agree. And if you're, same thing.
Yeah.
They're expensive. So when you're starting out,
$65 to $80 a piece for a battery, and
yeah,
I think I spent like $150 to $170 to get 2 batteries to me.
yeah, we're telling you to buy 2 batteries. So that's $170. And like everybody else, they've got the knockoffs or the aftermarket batteries that have the chip in them for Canon. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Nikon probably uses the same thing.
Those aftermarket batteries worked fine in my 5D2 and 5D3, and my 5D4 goes,
No way. Yeah. And anyway, as you progress, I think that the thing that actually drives your camera and your flashes to some extent is pretty darn important.
Yeah, it is.
And it's one of those things that if you can help it, you probably shouldn't cut that corner. Just don't do that corner. I'm not saying that you can't use aftermarket stuff, because I do. I'm not saying you can't use an off-brand, because I do.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is if it's a cornerstone of your business, you either have to have a solid backup. I mean, like a brand new unit that's ready to take over.
I think what you just said about the cornerstone is huge. Like, your camera runs on the battery.
Yeah.
And your memory cards.
Yeah. Yeah, memory cards are the same way.
Memory cards are us versus maybe Lexar
or SanDisk.
SanDisk. Yeah. Let's pardon me. Let's talk about this next thing. You see that?
Yeah.
Let's talk about panic. And really, more than talking about panic, I think we've all had that moment, whether it's in the car, on the ice, and you're starting to slide. There is a moment there that catches your breath away, puts your stomach in your throat. I bungee jumped.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I was in my 20s, and it was my birthday weekend, and I ran a Christian youth group at a small church in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I took my youth kids to my bungee jump, and I jumped off of a crane at like 310 feet in the air, right? There's that moment of stomach in the throat. And the guy starts a countdown, and he gets to 1, and you don't go over the edge. You're like, no. And so they start the countdown again. Finally, he got everybody else on the ground doing the count. And let's just say that I plummeted to the earth. They had a blue tarp at the bottom where like they had all the equipment laid out and everything, but I really think it was like their splat mat.
In case you had to clean
I
something
have
up.
video of Bungee Bob. It was pretty
That's
fun.
fun.
They called me Bungee Bob Head for a long time. But there's that pit in the stomach, kind of thing that I think we've all experienced with. That's not the slide I want. I want this one.
There you go.
With the panic that can come from
Mm-hmm.
being prepared for something.
Yeah, and just like the very first line on that, plan ahead, and then of course be prepared. And that's it's mental preparation, and what could possibly go wrong. And you alluded to it a little earlier about I grab a second body and I'm good to go, and that will work. But you also this is part of the mental preparation is you need to know that what the setup that you're using will work with the second body, and by that I mean not all cameras are created equal. Now, if you have two of the same model, you're way better off. But for example, I think I told you beforehand, I mean, I started out my deal with a 5D Mark II and a 7D, okay?
Yeah.
One's an APS-C camera, right?
This feeds right into our next slide. So I'm going to put it up while you keep talking about this.
All right. So one's an APS-C camera. So if my Mark II went down and I had to grab my 7D, things are different. Focal length is different.
Your focal length is compressed.
Which means all my lighting is different. Everything's different on an APS-C camera than it is on a full frame. So you have to be, that mental prepared is,
it's big.
It's big.
Like if you're going to switch the game, you have to be able to adapt the game after the switch.
Yep.
Laquita says, hi guys. And Laquita, I'm grateful that you're here. I know Gordon's watching this morning. I don't know who else is out there. I can't see that list on this screen, but welcome guys. I'm glad you're with us today. This is just that conversation. And we've got kind of a low viewership today. I wonder if this is uncomfortable for people.
About the panic?
Well, about not being prepared, and about, like you said, about the panic. Boom, panic sucks. Right? It does. It's not a fun thing when you get into that mode where things have gone sideways. And let's put it this way. If you take money from people to perform a task, you better be prepared for what happens when something doesn't work.
And the last line on that panic sucks slide is look like the pro that you are. So, and that's important to not, you can probably show a little panic in your face, like,
surprise.
Yeah.
Not a little bit of shock.
And
right?
it's not, and it's no big deal to tell them, hey, I've got equipment malfunction. I'll be right back.
Yep.
That's okay. Because they know that you're ready to continue on. What's not okay is to, be fumbling around for minutes. You can take a look. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to look at your camera to see what's going on, but you can't say, oh, just give me another 10 seconds. Give me another minute or two.
Yeah.
That's where it goes off the rails. If you're on a job and you're taking money, that's probably not the way you want to attack.
Yeah. So, my photo booth is a little bit like this. So we've got a commercial photo booth, and I don't know if you've ever played with the dye sublimation printers. They're incredibly fast. It prints a 4x6 image in 7 seconds flat. It's unbelievable. It prints the 4x6 image and cuts it into two 2x6 strips on the way out of the front of the printer. It's fantastic. But the ink is literally a ribbon. And there's enough ink on the ribbon and paper on the roll, it's a kit, for 400 prints. Unless your ribbon tears in the machine, you have to have a plan, right? So, I mean, there's a whole, you're like, okay, I need 5 minutes. Take 5. I'm going to close the booth for 5 minutes. I got to reload the paper, whatever it is. Boom, paper comes out. I can tell you how to fix it, but it's, I just drop a spare in.
You just change it.
I just change it.
Yeah.
And then because those suckers are expensive, it's like a box of media, which is 800 prints and enough ink for 800 prints, is about 100 and a quarter. So I'm going to fix that ribbon. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to fix that ribbon while my photo booth is running, with my spare stuff running in the back and inside it, right?
So you have another spare, or you repair your spare, basically.
I repair it and then reuse it. All right, so let's see. Jen Satterwhite's here. Good morning. Jason Flitton is here. Jason, I don't think I know you, so let us know where you're chiming in from, where you're watching from, and what you're into photography-wise. Larry's a wedding photographer transitioning into...
Extreme family photography. It's going to be fun.
Extreme. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, jeez.
Say that again.
Extreme family photography.
There you go. That should have just been kind of echoey and reverberary.
I can't wait to
being
see
silly,
the report.
Just
Yeah.
being silly. And I'm Bob Ryder. I'm a headshot photographer, and we're both board members here with Professional Photographers of Idaho. But let us know where you're coming at us from. I know Jen, and I know all the other folks that are watching and commenting today. It's great to have you folks on board. Let's jump over here. Let's see, anything else we need to cover there? Let's come back to this slide.
Yeah, the affordable spares.
Yep. So affordable spares, and I was going to give you guys some references, but I don't want to be that overt in seeming like I'm endorsing certain things. But buy used. So when I bought my first 5D3, I bought it brand new. You know, it has that new camera smell and feel, and it's just fantastic. But I knew I needed a second camera. I bought a used 5D2 from KEH in their bargain condition. And I got to tell you, if you're, I don't know if you've ever played with KEH or ordered equipment from them. I love KEH because I absolutely know that I'm going to get something that's tested and works. I know I'm not going to get a dog, and I can pick how nice I need that sucker to look. Mm-hmm. So on glass, I usually do the excellent. I bought a bargain condition 5D2, and it looked like everything else in my kit. All of my other used equipment in my kit. And I take good care of my equipment.
Right.
But it was a good value. I used that camera for 5 years and sold it for 2/3 of what I paid for it used.
That's
I'm happy.
I don't think you can do better than that.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Gordon Smith, does extreme define the photography or the type of family you photograph?
Yes. actually a little bit of both.
You bet.
Yeah, it's if you guys haven't ever seen just go out to the Google and check on extreme.
Break out your Google foo.
Yeah, that'll be it's going to be fun. It's something that not too many people. Well, I don't think anybody does it here. I'll be breaking out the website here pretty soon, and
I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce.
And we're gonna have at it. We'll see what happens.
I worked with Mark Rozansoff this week. He was hired to do to photograph a couple meeting for the first time in person at the airport. They were an online. They met online and had conversation and fell in love. And she flew in with her dog even. And we were hired. Well, Mark was hired to photograph that.
That's awesome. You almost have to have 2 cameras on that.
So
right?
He asked me if I would come second shoot it with him. And it was a total blast.
That's awesome.
And it was surreptitious. We were covert about the photography. Like, she didn't know we were there. He hasn't told her he had that photographed. He wants to save that for when
I see.
Their time together is
nice.
over. So anyway, just kind of something fun and different and challenging too, because it was on the fly. We had about a minute and a half of actual action.
Yeah.
Crazy. Pretty fun, right?
That's a wedding moment for you, right there.
It was pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So then let's just jump back to the slide again. So I talked about KEH. There are other used camera. Adorama has a used camera department. B&H has a good used camera department. I just bought this 5D4. Hold on a minute. Let's go right here, right? This camera that is photographing us right now, recording us right now, I just bought used from KEH. No, I bought it used from Adorama. Excuse me.
And I bought used from B&H before.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's if they say it's good, in my opinion, it's probably excellent.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel that way about the bargain condition.
Yeah, they really. So the other thing too on that slide, and we talked about stepping down a model. So in my case, it was from a full frame to an APS-C, which is okay. Not ideal, but it's okay. And then the last thing on it is borrow rent, and just a kind of a shout out to Borrow Lenses, because I do a lot of business with them. Very, very you know exactly what day your lens is going to be there.
I have bought used equipment from Borrow Lenses.
Yeah, me too. And so they're very good also. So a shameless plug for that. Now there are others like Lens Rental is out there. And I have dealt with Lens Rental, but I prefer Borrow Lenses. I don't know why. It just feels better. So
it does feel better. Yeah. It's just you can kind of talk to the. I don't know. It's a little bit.
It's more intimate.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that even matters.
We're not into it.
So there's 3, and I can't think of all 3, but you named 2 of them: Lens Rentals and Borrow Lenses, and there's another one I think out of the Seattle area. I've used all of them, and they were all fine.
And, I think there's I'm not real positive on this, but I've heard that there's a rental place here in Boise.
there were two. One of them shuttered, but the other one at Studio Boise does
okay.
rentals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And they're just great people over there. I've bought Seamless from them and had just some really good dealings with
I
them.
shot in their
Facility
Yeah. before. Yeah.
All right, so we kind of hammered the affordable spares part. There's nothing wrong with calling your buddy and saying, hey, I have a really, really important job coming up. Do you mind if I borrow your spare camera? And I'll return it to you with fresh gas, full tank of gas or whatever, right?
No coffee spilled on it.
Yeah. I borrowed. So when I first started, and this, I want to share this because some folks, I have equipment coming out of my ears here in the studio, but in the beginning, years ago, I bought that brand new model 5D3 and didn't have any money for another camera, and I used my son's T3i, threw it in my bag. I have a spare camera.
Yep. And it's not what you have, it's that you have one.
I have it.
So yeah. And with today's advances in editing, I will say that even if you aren't familiar with I got a point on that to make, but even if you're not familiar with it and things come out a little dark or a little too light, you can survive. It's not ideal.
So you hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
It's survival.
Exactly. It's not like you're, but my point on this is equipment familiarity.
Yeah.
So if you do go borrow something,
You need to take
go
time to
take it out.
understand
Yeah. I mean, it's only going to take you maybe a couple of hours to go through the controls and go through the stuff and maybe shoot.
Make sure it doesn't have the auto lighting optimizer turned on.
Yes. Yeah. We've done that a couple of times in there. So familiarity, especially if you're using like OCF, off-camera flash, and you don't know what that trigger does. Now I have, if you're like, I'm used to a system, right? I'm used to the Godox system, but I've used single pin triggers.
Pocket Wizards.
A lot.
Cactus.
Yeah, whatever.
Whoever.
Young Newell, or how you put it?
Young Newell.
Yeah.
Young Newell.
Yeah.
Did I get that
one.
right? I probably didn't get that right.
Probably didn't get it right. But I'm used to a system, but it doesn't take very much to understand that if it's a single pin, it's all manual.
Yeah.
And I don't. So listen, guys, you shouldn't really rely on the Automagic.
The ETTL, ETTL2.
But that's another topic for another day.
Advanced ETTL. That is another topic. Wait a minute. That is a really good topic for another day.
But,
hey, Siri, take a note.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, you have to be a little bit familiar with it. And, if you look at that trigger and it's got a single pin on it, then okay, I got to be a manual. This is what I got to do, blah, blah, blah. So, and it all goes back to looking professional.
Yeah.
So
let's jump in here and talk about some of the key spare items. So this is just my list. These are the things, if you were to look in my camera bag when I'm on location, these are my key spares. I've got a second camera body. I've got a second lens, usually a zoom lens. I shoot a lot with primes. So usually there's that spare lens in there that's going to cover that focal length that I am planning to be using that day. And I plan my shoots out pretty extensively before I go on location. So I know I'm going to have that focal length covered because you know what happens? Stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. So spare batteries, spare memory cards. I'm a lighting guy. I take lights to everything I do.
Me too. Yep.
With very little exception. And you can carry spare flash tubes, spare cords, spare receivers, spare fuses.
Transmitters.
Or I just bring a whole spare extra light.
That's what I do.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just easier than trying to, if you've ever had to, let's come back to the camera for a minute. If you have ever had to change a flash tube on your studio strobe on location with cold hands.
Not a good idea. Not good.
Yeah, just whip that other light out and go for it.
Yeah.
I've been lately, because I have that Roundhead V1 speed light from Godox Flashpoint. That's a good spare light. I can pretty much do anything I need to with it.
Yeah, well, and they keep coming out with.
Oh, don't even go there.
Listen, we have a whole nother show. We're not going to.
We do have another show.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Today, so.
All right. So let's come back to our point here and radio triggers. Like I said, I'm a lighting guy, so I carry a spare radio trigger with me. I carry my primary, which is the Pro 2 model that has all of the buttons for all of the channels. It's really easy to navigate. And then I just have...
And they're on top of it, so you can get to it. Yep.
And then I just have the spare...
X1.
Basic trigger, but it's there. It's in my bag. It's got batteries in it. I carry spare batteries and spare cables for stuff. Very little that I do now is actually cable based, but having those spare cables in the bag is pretty important for anything that you might be plugging in, tripping over, frayed, closed in the car door.
So to this day, I carry 2 triggers, and I still, to this day, carry my. It's a springy cord that goes from the top of my camera to the bottom of the flash.
They call it a PC cord.
Well, no, maybe they do, but it's the one that goes onto the hot shoe of the camera, and then the hot shoe of the flash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's got all
it's
coiled.
A sync cord.
Yeah, and it's all coiled up, so you can stretch it. Well, until
bing!
It almost breaks.
Right.
But to this day, that's in my bag.
And you know what? It's like my doorstop I carry a rubber doorstop in my camera bag.
Don't ask why.
Well, no, you know what? The thing to not ask why, there's a Nerf dart in my camera bag. My son dropped that in there years ago. He's like, Dad, you need one of these in your camera bag. It's still there. Like, that's just a dumb emotional thing, and it doesn't weigh anything, so it stays there. But I carry a rubber doorstop. I don't use my rubber doorstop very often, but when I do, I'm damn glad that I have it. And all of this conversation about spares and backups and panic all comes down to that very same thing. I may not use it very often, but I'm damn glad I have it there. It's peace of mind.
Yep. And it's part of that professional. And I think kind of what we're leading up here. It's not equipment gathering. You don't have to go out and
have duplicates of all of your best gear.
Yeah, that's
really
not,
don't.
And that's not it. And it's not like, oh, I have 2 camera bodies, so I'm a professional. It's not that at all. It's you're taking money. You're on a job. The client's expecting a result, and you want to give them that result, right?
Yeah.
And that's bottom line.
Yeah.
So it's not about, I have 3 camera bodies and you don't, so I'm better than you are. Well, that's not it. So
this is a point that you sent me this morning about this topic today, and it's let me introduce you to professional photography without even having to say that to somebody. They're going to see that something happened, and you're just going to move right along like it's not a big thing, and you're going to finish the job. And I've had customers come up to me afterwards, and they're like, hey, what happened back there? I'm like, oh, well, my such and such quit. So they're like, wow, man, you didn't miss a beat. Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So let's go to this next point. So we're going to get away from the spares for a minute.
And if you're a wedding photographer, you can't miss a beat.
That's like changing your focus point settings right before the bride walks out, right?
So I have I wear a spider holster,
Yep.
and I've got the dual. You look like a robot. You're walking out, and you got all this stuff hanging on you, but I don't miss a beat. And even if you're on the 70 to 200 focal length and that camera goes down, you still got the 2470 on the other one.
Yeah, that's a go-to. I also run the spider holster with the 2 camera setup, and that has actually gotten me jobs. Isn't that odd?
I know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
But people look at that.
You
and go,
must really be a good photographer.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got like 40 pounds of gear hanging off your fanny, right?
No, I have a bad back, and my hips are killing me.
And I'm exhausted. Right. Let's just leave this spares conversation aside for a minute, because we've said it, you understand it, you're going to make that decision on what you need to carry with you. I would write it out, make a list, and then I configured my camera bag so that I can look in my camera bag and know if I have what I need to walk out the door, because I know where things go. I'm just that person. I was at another studio in Sacramento. He had the same camera bag I did, his big think tank bag with wheels. And dude literally just tossed stuff in his bag. Like, there's cameras and lenses just all pitched in there, and I was horrified because I'm a little bit OCD, right? Mm-hmm. A little bit.
I think all of us are.
Well, I am about my equipment, right?
Yeah. Well,
and I was just mortified. I was looking at his camera bag. He's like pulling cords out, trying not to drop the camera that wanted to fall. I'm like,
So I'm kind of the same way about my lighting gear. I have the Pelican 1150 bags or
That's a case.
cases,
Yeah, that's a good
which
one.
go in the overhead, by the way. So if you ever fly, you can jam them up there. But that's not the point. Point is, I have those labeled. It's kind of like a retail store. If you open the lid to one of my 1150s, there's a list of what needs to be in there, and I can tell you that there's duplicates in every case. So when I go somewhere and I need a lot of light, I'll grab the case with the 600 in it, or I got a case with a 400 and 300. I might grab that one. But every one of those I know it has a charger. I know it has batteries. I know it has the light in there. I know it has every single thing. And when I go to put it away, I look at the list. I look at the stuff.
Like it's all there.
It's all there. Close the lid and put it up.
You know, so I'm going to camp on that for a minute. It wasn't even part of the conversation.
We just make stuff up.
I do. My wife and I have used this system forever now with our production work. When I pack out of a job, we walk the equipment over to the door, all packed up, ready to go, and I stop and I turn around
And look.
and I will very often walk back to where we were working and just take a moment to survey and make sure we didn't leave a charger in a wall or something tucked behind a door or something, because a lot of times you'll do a job and you stow your equipment, you stow your spares, your cases and stuff like that out of the view. I'm going to make sure I've got all of that.
Yep.
I know when I look in my bag if everything's there, because I'm systematic. All of my lenses actually have on the cap what it is.
And who it goes to. And if you don't mark your equipment, you should.
Oh,
So
that's a big
I
deal,
have, how many of you guys get the return address labels from wherever, right? I take and cut the little logo off on the side of it and take my name and address, and I literally label every single I label the battery, the cord,
See
everything.
my tripod over there? It's got
Yeah.
the BR on it,
Yeah.
right? The same way all my light stands have yellow stripes at the bottom, just yellow electric tape. They serve as like trip prevention, but they also serve, those are my stands because it's got the yellow on it, right? Those are just kind of those.
They're tips.
Yeah, they're the things that you kind of work out
So
over time.
And if you ever tow an RV, by the way, if everything's hooked up, what do?
Walk around the dang thing.
The entire business to make sure every cover's latched, all this stuff. So same thing. You need to go in.
I passed you with your Traver
You
trailer
did,
the other day.
yeah.
I was like driving by. All right, let's move in. So let's leave that behind. Let's park that there.
Okay.
Let's come into this next point. And we kind of brushed this topic recently back in December at our year-end stuff, right?
Yep.
But here we are. We're going to talk about data backup. And if you have ever lost data, you know how horrible that feels.
And you're wondering if you can get it back. And I'm here to tell you that if you have your data in a single point of failure, let's just say it's an external hard drive. Let's just do that one.
Or an internal hard drive. It's a hard drive.
It's a hard drive. And the hard drive goes bad. That whole deal about, well, you can put it in the freezer and it'll work one more time. No. And the whole
not when that head has come down and crashed on the disc.
And then the whole thing about, well, I can send it into a recovery place. I want to tell everybody right now that the chances are not good. That if you send it and it costs you a lot of money.
Or you're going to get some of what you needed
yeah.
back, and it's going to cost you a bundle of money.
Yeah.
So
to prevent all that, that's why we're talking about this.
yeah. So I like RAID devices. I'm a big fan of the RAID devices, and RAID is just redundant arrays of inexpensive disks. And boy, oh boy, have they gotten cheap. Independent?
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
But actually, independent makes good sense. But they really have gotten very affordable. Once you have whatever RAID cabinet you're going to use, $400, $500 for something that's not, network scale.
You're Drobo.
I'm Drobo.
What you have a lot of bays now. 8?
It's 5.
5.
Yeah.
So I have Synology, which is 4, and I think I paid for an empty shell. I think it was $400.
Yeah.
I think.
I bought mine used. I bought my first one used. I'm on my second one, and I've sold my used one. Right?
Yeah.
I used that for years and got my money out of it, and then sold it and got more money out of it. I'll tell you something. The last community, the community that we came from, and I've probably shared this before, our community was hit with a wildfire. And if you've never experienced a firestorm, it is not something that you can truly comprehend. It is not a linear event. It moves literally like a tornado, or what they call a fire nado. That's not made up crap. That's the legit stuff. I've experienced it. I've been driving down the road, and the eucalyptus trees on both sides of the road are on 100 feet in the air. And anyway, what about your data? Like, I have all of my client data on my drives. And that's that moment that you can go, it's okay, because not only do I have them on my RAID array, my Drobo, but my Drobo is backed to the cloud. I use BackBlaze. I put that in here. And I'm just going to do shameless shout here. If you decide that you want to look into a cloud backup service like BackBlaze, BackBlaze runs on my computer. It monitors whatever drives or folders I've told it to monitor. And if something is added or changed, it just backs it up. And honest to Pete, man, I can jump right to my BackBlaze through an app on my phone and pull down any file I've created in the last 7 or 8 years.
So, and it's a good one. I'm not here to say that BackBlaze is crappy. I'm just saying there's a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of them.
So
I just happen to use that one.
And there's a couple that you probably have access to that will cost you nothing, although the space is limited. And those are the Google Drive.
Yeah, but those aren't automated drive. Those aren't automated processes. You have to do something with it.
That's that one. But Dropbox is automated. So if you shove something into Dropbox or vice versa, or you do something on your computer to save a folder, it will automatically do it. But space is limited there. Yeah. It's not as BackBlaze is designed for that.
Yeah, there's a couple of them, but the difference for me, like if I drop something into my Google Drive folder, that's going to go to the cloud.
Right.
But this is monitoring an entire drive.
Exactly.
It monitors my Drobo, and year end, year start, what did we do? I just created new catalogs for 2021 for Lightroom, and that's on my Drobo. That's my working drive, and that's automatically then created over on BackBlaze for me. And I've had a couple of shoots in this last week, and those are all already there. The point for me is we as a people, we suck at doing those backups, right? Oh,
yep.
I'll catch that tomorrow. Well, tomorrow there's a fire, or tomorrow there's water damage. Tomorrow there's a fire. Did I say fire twice?
Yeah.
Fire's serious shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we're going to lose our G rating because I said the S word. Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's serious business, right?
Yep.
And automated backups are better than something that you have to remember to do.
But the remember to do is better than nothing at all.
It is absolutely better than nothing at all. So again, we can. I am full nerd. I own that. Like I like to not have to think about things. I want to pick up my camera bag and know that everything's in there.
Yep.
I want to know that I've got all of those key spares that I was talking about. I want to know that my data is safe. So again, I'm driving down the road. There's fire above me, below my car, literally under my car. Driving down this road to get my Drobo out of my studio. Not anymore, man. Right? I almost anyway.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but if that was the time that I needed to do a manual backup, too late, man.
Yeah.
Right? When I evac'd and we were a full community, we were miles and miles away, and the firestorm raged for like 5 days before it burned through the community is what it did. And then it went out the other side of the community, and it went for months. But being in that place where I can lay my head down at night and I know that data is secure is really a big deal for me.
Oh, it's a big peace of mind.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, if you're interested in BackBlaze, check it out. I think I'm paying $100 for 2 years of worry-free coverage that I can get to from anywhere. I'd love to send you a link. I kind of have an affiliate thing with that. And
do it.
Full disclosure, if I send you the link, you benefit, and so do I, right?
Yep.
But it's a good deal. And it's just one of the services, but it happens to be the one I use, and I'd love to share it with you. Let's see what else we have here. Let's go back to point 3. Yeah, I think we covered all of those. I'm going to drop it back on the scene here.
Kind of portable drives we didn't really cover. We were talking about this earlier today too. So if you do back up to a portable drive, those things are just
Dirt
silly.
cheap.
They're silly cheap right now. And you say, well, it's not very fast. And you know,
You're right, it's not fast.
you get into the Apple PC argument about the Thunderbolt and all the USB 3 and then whatever.
3.1A.
Yeah. So listen, if that's a concern, if you really have to have it quick, the SSD portable drives now are reasonable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're cheap, but they're so much cheaper than they were like 2 years ago that it's disgusting. So I guess my point is there's no real reason for you guys not to have a backup.
Yeah,
There's
and I'll tell you what that reason is for them to not have a backup. They haven't taken the time to set it up.
Right.
So that is our challenge to you.
Yep.
Coming into 2021 here.
Be prepared.
We're in. Take a day, figure it out. Talk to one of us. Talk to somebody that you know that you. Everybody's got a friend who's a computer nerd.
Yeah. So listen, if you guys, that's what I do actually for my main job.
You and Gordon too.
Yeah, and Gordon is too, and
Yep.
I'm sure Gordon would be happy to answer questions. If you got questions about RAID, I would be happy to answer any questions you have about RAID. It's not rocket science. Don't get all freaked out about it.
It sounds cool.
And then you can say, "Hey, I got a RAID array."
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you don't have to use Drobo or Synology. You go, "I got a RAID array."
I don't know. There's a lot of them out there, right?
Ton.
All right. So then let's come in to the. We're running out of time pretty quick. So let's talk about this next. So we're going to transition. We're going to leave this topic here. We've talked about spares. We've talked about backups. And we've talked about how to manage all of those things to avoid that panic that you get.
Yep.
And to continue to look like a pro. Let's put the slide back up, all right?
And I think this all leads up to, you know, the saying that we all heard way back when, and it's just so great. It's, let me introduce you to professional photography.
That's a Bob Quickism.
It is a Bob Quickism.
Yep.
And you actually don't have to say anything to do that.
You're just moving right along.
You just, you know what, I got this, guys. Even though, you know, you're having a moment inside your head, you just carry on, get it done. So
let's do our weekly hit.
Okay. Listen, we do, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on right now at PPI.
There is
a ton of stuff. So not only these lives, excuse me, in our member
we're
connects,
planning our convention,
right? Or planning our convention, and we have convention coming up, and we have the possible offsite or the pod viewings of the convention, whatever you call those. Anyway,
watch parties. I think is the trending term for that.
We're trying to build a little bit of value into a membership.
Yeah,
and you know, it's silly cheap at $9.95 a month. It's not,
or $99 a year,
or $99 a year.
It's it is the best investment that you'll make in building a community of like-minded people. You're building a knowledge base,
and we're trying to add more value and more value and more value to the members. It is not easy, and
you know what it is.
and we're working on it. Though.
Maybe I'm gonna jump into this for just a minute,
Yeah,
and I wanna cover this in the next 60 seconds, and then move on out of the show today, so people can go to lunch. And I've got a session coming in. I got to tear apart my studio and rebuild it. The real deal is that being a PPI member builds a relationship base for your work and for your knowledge and for your needs. I regularly talk to other photographers. They help me. I borrowed a tux kit from Jen Alvey this week for a senior photo shoot here, and then I've ordered the tux kits on either side of what she already has. So between the two of us, we can fit anybody in a tux.
That's we've talked about this a lot.
We have, but it bears that conversation,
right?
It really
and
does.
It's not a competition, but we can certainly help each other out.
Yeah.
And I know if I have a question, I can talk to Bob or Gordon or whoever, and I'm pretty sure that those guys know.
We do that all week long.
Yeah, and it's
every week.
And it's just if it's not it's kind of a support system actually. It's kind of
really
cool.
is.
So anyway, ppofIdaho.com.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Hit the join us tab at the top, and you know, the only thing we ask is if you do pay by month, which is fine.
You're committing to a 12 month.
You're committing to 12 months. Yep.
And it starts your year starts and ends. You know, it starts when you start it and it ends that same time the following year.
Right.
All right, look, let's wrap it up here. Let's leave it for folks. Folks, next week we've got a great program coming at you. I'm going to preview that here in just a minute on our way out. You'll get to see that, take a look at that, and then check in with us during the week. Bring your comments into this. I know folks are watching this offline. We are right in the middle of the workday on a Friday. So if you can't catch us live and you're watching us after the fact, please leave us some comments during the week, and we'll get back to you on whatever you post, whatever questions you ask. And that's it. Larry, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right,
It was
man.
a great show. Thanks,
Let's
everybody.
send it.